In today's video, we're going to talk about how to obtain that ever-elusive six-pack. What's up guys, Ryan here at TreadawayTraining.com, where we help busy professionals get more results in less time through online training. We put out weekly content on habit formation, training, and nutrition, so if you're interested in that type of thing, consider subscribing. You've probably heard the expression, abs are made in the kitchen, and it's absolutely true. Unfortunately, the idea that you can target belly fat by doing lots of ab exercises is a myth. The only way to reduce belly fat is to reduce overall body fat. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't train your abs. You'll still need to train the abs so you'll actually have abs to show as you get leaner. For best results, you'll need to focus on both training and nutrition. While there are many muscles that make up your midsection, we'll be focusing on the Rectus Abdominis, which is the six-pack, and to a lesser extent, the external obliques. The external obliques function to flex the spine, like in a crunch, rotate the spine, like in a cable chop, and to flex laterally, like in a side bend. The Rectus Abdominis functions to flex the spine, like in a crunch, and to flex laterally, like in a side bend. Many trainers say that ab exercises are unnecessary and claim that squats and deadlifts are all you need to build a nice set of abs. I actually believed this to be true for a long time before learning more about human movement and becoming a coach. But if we go back to the functions of the abdominal and oblique muscles that we just covered, we can easily see that this is untrue. You don't flex or rotate the spine during a squat or deadlift, or at least you shouldn't be. To support this, a 2012 study looking at core muscle activation during the barbell squat showed less than 20% activation of the external obliques and less than 10% activation of the rectus abdominis. And a 2009 study showed just over 4% activation of the rectus abdominis for both the squat and the deadlift. It's also worth noting that many bodybuilders claim you shouldn't do squats or deadlifts at all because they will, quote, blow up your waist. This is also untrue. As we just discussed, the squat and deadlift both do a poor job at activating your abdominal muscles, meaning they are incapable of causing you to have a blocky midsection. In fact, I have 100% of my clients performing some variation of both the squat and deadlift 1 to 2 times per week, and they lose several inches off their waists. As a personal note, I perform both a heavy squat and heavy deadlift variation 2 times per week and have a 30-inch waist. So if squats and deadlifts don't effectively train the ab muscles, what does? For this answer, we will be looking at 3 categories: upper abs, lower abs, and obliques. A 2000 study that examined 12 exercises found that of the exercises studied, the top 3 upper ab exercises were 1. The arms extended crunch, 2. The hanging leg raise, 3. The twisted crunch. The top 3 lower ab exercises were 1. The hanging leg raise, 2. The bicycle crunch, and 3. The arms extended crunch. And the top 3 oblique exercises according to the study were 1. Side bends, 2. Side plank, 3. Hanging leg raises. One interesting thing is that hanging leg raises was in the top 3 for all 3 areas, making it probably the best overall ab builder. And while it is one of my all-time favorite ab exercises, it does have limitations. If grip strength is an issue, your grip might give way before you're able to sufficiently work your abs. However, this can easily be fixed by using wrist straps or elbow straps. Another consideration to take into account with this exercise is if you aren't experienced with it, it may be hard to find a rhythm and you might end up swinging back and forth. The other exercise that stands out to me in this study is the arms extended crunch. While it doesn't do as good of a job at activating the obliques, it does have one major advantage over the other exercises. It can be easily loaded, And in case you weren't aware, the ability to add weight over time is the most important factor in building muscle. This is known as progressive overload. With that in mind, some great easily loadable exercises that weren't included in this study are weighted reverse crunches, weighted decline crunches, and kneeling cable chops. Planks were popular around the time I started working out about 10 years ago, but seem to have become less popular since then. While the standard plank isn't a very good ab builder, modifying the plank by putting your elbows out in front instead of under your shoulders and by tucking your hips under greatly increases ab activation. But also note that this is a very difficult exercise and my core started shaking after only about 10 seconds. One last advanced ab exercise I will mention is the ab wheel. This exercise is very effective, but also very difficult, so I wouldn't recommend adding it in immediately if you're a beginner. Before moving on to official exercise recommendations, it's important to mention that the shape of your abdominal wall is genetic. No amount of training can change the shape or number of your individual ab muscles. If you were born with a 5-pack, you will always have a 5-pack. If this is the case, the goal for you will simply be to create the most well-defined 5-pack that you can. For your ab program, select one crunch type movement, one leg lift type movement, and one rotation type movement, and perform them 1 to 3 times per week. As for rep ranges, contrary to popular belief, the abs are roughly an even split of fast and slow twitch muscle fibers. In other words, the ever popular ultra high rep crunch sets aren't a good option. You should perform half of your ab training in the 6 to 12 rep range using easily loadable exercises such as the weighted arms extended crunch, and half in the 15 to 30 rep range using body weight exercises such as the lying leg lift. Now that we've covered training and how to build your abs, let's talk about how to strip away the belly fat and reveal that hard-earned muscle. Remember, abs are made in the kitchen. No matter how hard you train, you can never outwork a bad diet. This statement was put to the test in 2011 when researchers had participants perform direct ab training 5 times per week for 6 weeks with no diet changes. At the end of the study, there were no changes in belly fat. In order to reduce belly fat, you will need to create a calorie deficit, which simply means you need to eat fewer calories than you burn. When it comes to how to achieve this calorie deficit, you can decrease your calorie intake by eating less food or by eating foods that contain fewer calories. You can also increase your calorie output through exercise, but this would be significantly more difficult and less sustainable. In order to burn an extra 500 calories daily, it would require the average-sized American to walk 3 miles per hour for 1 hour or jog at 5 miles per hour for 40 minutes each and every day. By contrast, you could simply eat a little less, which won't cost you any time and in reality would save you a small amount of time. To get a pretty close estimate of how many calories you will need to eat, I've linked a calorie calculator as the first link in the description. The second most important thing to consider is your protein intake. Consuming adequate amounts of protein will help you build up those ab muscles. And keep in mind, the opposite is also true. If you don't consume enough protein while dieting, you will likely lose lean body mass, which would negatively impact the goal of having a nice set of abs. Protein recommendations can range from 0.8 to 1.3 grams per pound of body weight per day, depending on your level of advancement in the gym. However, to simplify things, you can simply go with 1 gram per pound of body weight per day. This will be sufficient for the vast majority of individuals. If you have a significant amount of fat to lose, you can use your goal body weight as a proxy when determining your protein intake. For example, if you weigh 200 pounds and your goal is 150 pounds, you can aim for 150 grams of protein per day instead of 200. Lastly, while there's a large debate around whether or not high fat, low carb is superior for fat loss, studies actually show that as long as your calorie and protein intakes are fixed, low carb versus low fat doesn't impact your diet to a significant degree. That said, if you enjoy low fat, eat low fat. If you enjoy low carb, eat low carb. Go with what is most sustainable long term for you. After all, the ability to stick to your plan is the most important factor for fat loss success. Now, if you're already doing everything I mentioned in this video and your weight loss has stalled, check out the video in the cards for how to fix it. When preparing for this video, I did over 50 sets of abs over the course of an hour and a half of recording, and my entire midsection was sore for about the next 3 days after that. So if that doesn't deserve you subscribing, then I don't know what does. But if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you dislike the video, give it a thumbs down. If you want more content, click up in the cards to watch the Fat Loss Stalls video, or you can join us over on treadawaytraining.com/blog to check out the Treadaway Training blogcast. We are there every Sunday at 3 p.m. God bless you and your family. You're awesome. I'll see you Sunday.